Hi everyone, welcome back to my show. This week I have with me Katie Kernen. She's a senior here at Bellarmine. She's a nursing major and she is also on the Bellarmine cheer team here. Her fourth and final season, super exciting. Thanks for joining me today.
Of course.
So today the reason I brought Katie on the show is since we cheer together, we get a lot of misconceptions and confusion about the difference maybe between sideline and cheer and just about cheer in general. So today we're going to do a little cheer 101 just to explain, what we do as Bellarmine University cheerleaders, just so that you all as listeners know the difference. So to start out, why don't you just explain the difference between sideline cheer and competition cheer?
So, sideline cheer, we're cheering for other sports. So, we have football and basketball that we cheer for. And then for competition cheer, that is a whole separate thing where we have a routine and you are performing it in front of judges and other people. But it's completely different from sideline cheer and you're doing completely different things.
So when you say you're doing two completely different things, obviously one is saying cheers and supporting a team, and this is like its own sport. You're like, no one's cheering for you other than like your parents. So what are the components of competitive cheer that make it different from sideline cheer?
There's a lot that goes into it. First is stunting, so whenever people are throwing you up in the air. There's tumbling, so doing the flips and stuff. Then there's also a pyramid, which is a whole line of stunts and you're all connected. You have jumps. That's pretty much it, but you're not like saying cheers or like doing anything like that.
So you would say it's more fast-paced, more athletic than
Definitely.
sideline? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get a score, right, based off the ability to perform and completing them. So I guess maybe people just get confused because they don't understand, because like in basketball or football you get points. So explain kind of how like judging and like
Right.
cheer competitions against other teams work.
It's completely different. So basically you get a score based off of like how hard the skills are. And then you can get points taken off of that for execution, if you didn't do it correctly, if you fall. But basically you get like your raw score, which is just how difficult the routine is. And then you can kind of like go down from there if you're not executing everything perfectly.
Right. And this is a common misconception about cheer, is that you always hear people say, every team that I know wins nationals, right? Like,
Right.
We all hear it, we always hear it. So I guess there's divisions, right? So explain how do the divisions work and how everyone's a national champion. Like, that stigma, where does that come from?
So there are a lot of people that will win because there are so many divisions. So there's co-ed and all-girl, and then there's intermediate, which is a little bit easier. You're not having like
You don't have the experience.
crazy difficult skills. And then there's advanced, which is like Navarro that you see on Cheer, the Netflix show. And then there's different divisions within those.
Like NCAA divisions, so like D1, D2.
D2, right.
So where does Bellarmine compete? Tell us where Bellarmine competes at.
We are intermediate all-girl Division 1.
Yep.
And before we've competed co-ed, so you can like switch divisions just based off of who you have on the team. And then we could go advanced if we wanted to, if we had the skills for it. But yeah, this year we're all girl.
And another thing I guess that people get confused, or could be confusing, is that there's D1 and D1A. So who are some teams that like we compete against? Like ASUN teams, I would say, right? Usually.
Yeah, like we compete against Kennesaw.
Yeah, we actually compete against Harvard too,
Harvard.
which is like surprising because
There's
you
a
would
lot
think,
of schools that like you'll see that you don't.
yeah, in our
think of.
division. But then like D1A is more of like your U of L, Oklahoma, stuff like that, just so that it's fair. It's the same thing of like your D1 NCAA basketball tournament, D2 NCAA, D3,
Right.
all of those. There's also for college at least, there's two separate competitions. There's NCA and UCA for cheer. Do you want to explain that difference between those two?
Yes. So NCA is what we compete, and that happens in April. UCA happens in February, and that is, there's a game day in it, and it's just like a little bit different, like just the routines are a little bit different. It's kind of hard to explain, but just like the style of routine, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like NCA is way more in your face, and UCA is more traditional.
Like collegiate, yeah. Yeah, but we go to NCA, and schools can like kind of switch around, I guess, if they want to, but
yeah, I guess we just go NCA because that's just our style of cheer that we're good at. Most people would say that NCA, which is where we compete in April, is closely related to All-Star Cheer. And All-Star Cheer is its whole other thing too. So do you want to explain All-Star Cheer a little bit too?
Yeah, so All-Star is basically like club cheerleading. You have all these different levels, so like level 1 through 6, 7 now, I don't know what it is, but the styles are very similar because it's like in your face and like the dancing and the routine.
Showmanship.
Yeah, you don't have as much of that. But All-Star, people will start that when they're like 4 or 5 years old, and you can go until however old you want because there's like open teams. So there's like 23-year-olds competing. But yeah, that's just like another aspect of cheerleading that's also like different than school cheerleading.
Yeah, because these All-Star gyms are not related to a school. It's like you said, like a club. Like you pay money and you go to this gym and you compete under like, you know, the name. Like for example, Gym Time, which is here in Louisville, which I'm sure is a name that a lot of people have heard if you know anything about cheerleading. Very big gym. They're related to like U of L, so some of the U of L athletes will switch over. So I would say NCA and All-Star are basically the same at this point, just very loud in your face.
All-Star is crazy. Like people will move across the United States to like cheer at a specific gym.
Yeah, because it's that competitive.
It's super competitive.
So moving on a little bit, Bellarmine does compete in April. Is there anything you want to say to just like the students about like how to support or, you know, what we're hoping for as a team?
So obviously we're hoping to win. We have a showcase in April that anyone is invited to.
In Knights Hall.
Knights Hall, yep. Not quite sure the date, but it will be posted.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm very excited, and I want more people to know, like, we do more than just basketball games, and we can do a lot more than just shake our pom-poms.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Everyone's just like, oh, you shake your pom-poms. I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, but there's a different side to it.
There is a different side. Yeah, exactly. Okay, and then you're going to Daytona. Obviously, we're going to Daytona. It's super exciting. So what does a Daytona trip, like, for nationals look like?
It's super exciting. So normally we'll leave on, like, a Wednesday at, like, 5 o'clock in the morning, and we'll drive all day. We'll get there. Then we'll have, like, a practice the next day. We'll pretty much practice, like, all day. We'll have, like, time spaced out for practice. We'll do, like, a team dinner down there, and then we'll compete 2 days in a row, so, like, a Thursday, Friday. And we can compete on the bandshell, which is outside, and it's right by the ocean, so that's, like, super fun. Yeah, and then we come home, and it's pretty much over in, like, 4 days, but it's super exciting and super fun.
Yeah, and I guess some people also might get confused, like, how to get invited to nationals. So how did Bellarmine, like, how did we get invited to nationals this year?
We do a cheer camp at U of L, and you get, like, a mini routine, basically, that you learn that weekend, and then you compete it, basically, at camp, or just show it off, and then you'll get a bid to nationals. So you have to do well to be able to get invited to nationals. So we got that. And that's basically, we just have to do that every year.
Yeah, so not everybody gets to go, but you have to go to the camp, you have to put in the work. This year, as far as we know, we're competing against roughly, 25 teams? Yeah. A lot of teams. It's the most teams that we've competed against thus far, so we're really hoping to bring it home this year. That would be awesome. Well, Katie, thank you so much for joining me and just, you know, talking about what we do. Hopefully you all learned something and realized that there's a lot more that goes into it. But thank you all for watching this week. I hope to see you all next week.